Hello and welcome to the Briefing Room. I'm Bill Froehlich from WTCM Radio. It's our weekly roundup of some of the stories that are making headlines here in Northern Michigan, and it's a sports edition of the Briefing Room this week. Joining me to my right, we've got Mike Misico from the Kalkaska Leader. We've also got ESPN Radio, Grand Traverse Insider. What else am I forgetting?
We'll stop there. That's good.
Good enough for me.
Nice to be back.
James Cook from the Traverse City Record Eagle. Good to see you again, James.
Thanks for having me on.
And Chris Dobrovolsky from the Record Eagle as well. Good to have you in.
Thanks.
First time. Nice to see you here.
Yep.
Talking sports, of course, this week, and we want to start at the local level. Start with prep sports. High school football gets underway as we sit here on Thursday. It's tonight. A couple of big games going on in the north. Mike, what are you watching this season?
Well, I dubbed this the season of change. There's new rules from the MHSAA that have been implemented as far as player safety is concerned, and which affects practice times. There's 10 new conferences. I mean, it seems like, is this college football? I don't know, because it seems everyone's jumping ship to new conferences now, but the Lake Michigan Conference and Northwest Conference has merged. There's also members of the former Northwest Conference have joined a new Northwestern 6 football conference. So there's a lot of changes going on. To me, that's exciting because I think the level of competition this year within these new conferences, it's going to raise the bar a little bit. The only thing I'm worried about personally is with the new MHSAA rule changes, they limit the time it affects practice times. They limit the time you can have, or the amount of full contact teams can have per week. And I think the only downfall of this is, will kids be ready come game time? I'm curious to see how things play out on opening night. If we see a lot of injuries because kids are not prepared for the full contact, they haven't been able to do it as much as they have in the past, we'll see. But to me, it's a season of change. It's very exciting. I think we're going to see a lot of teams competitive this year, maybe more so than we've seen in the past, even with smaller programs.
James, we've got doubleheader for Traverse City teams tonight, don't we? Mm-hmm. TC Central and West both playing this evening?
Yeah, TC West is playing Midland, who's an excellent team coming off a 10-2 season, 37 straight winning seasons. So they're going 2 more, and they would tie the state record for most consecutive winning seasons in a row. And TC West or TC Central has Marquette, it's a team that beat them last year, but they're both at home playing a doubleheader tonight. Should be a pretty good 6 or so hours of straight football.
Football. Chris, this your first season in Northern Michigan? Second season. Yep. So what are you keeping an eye on? Any particular teams that you're excited to see take the field this year?
Well, obviously, I think you got to start with Traverse City West. You have a couple offensive linemen there that are Division I prospects. They're getting offers from everywhere, and when you get that type of a talent, it's kind of a special thing to watch. So I think with Lacusa and with Cerny, you're going to see some high level play from West.
We can talk about some of the products of Northern Michigan football as we're watching Darren Keaton on the Lions now. I saw him post on Facebook the other day. He's got just a couple days left now, he said, before he figures out if he's going to be still on the team with the Lions. But that's exciting to see some local talent moving on up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think when's the official day? Is it Saturday or Sunday that they have to trim the rosters down completely in the NFL? So fingers crossed for him. Again, I think worst case scenario, you'll see Keaton practice squad, throughout the season again. But it is exciting, and I think, you guys touched on, say, Traverse City West. There are prospects as well there. I've seen these guys in action a couple times over the summer, and I'll tell you what, there's definitely college talent on some of these teams, and we'll probably see these guys move on as well. So it is exciting.
James, what are you looking at outside of Traverse City?
Well, you've got a lot of the pretty normal, pretty good teams like Mansalona. St. Francis will be competitive, but that remains to be seen. How they adjust to the new conference and everything after being independent for 2 years. Okay. Going into that new 2-tiered conference, where they'll have to play slightly bigger schools. But they've been doing that the last 2 years as independent, but it hasn't been working out that great. They've been about 500 the last 2 years. You got, I think Johannesburg Lewiston will be pretty good this season. They've got a lot back, a lot of speed, a lot of experience. Elk Rapids seems to be pretty solid, and we'll see how some of the other teams, how they adjust to losing some big players. But
Chris, what's on average Friday night like for you? I mean, I know you guys are covering as much as you can, but you can't be in 3 places at once or 10 places at once.
Well, if you're out at a game, it's pretty nice. You're getting to see football right there in front of you. But if you're back at the office, you're taking a ton of phone calls. A lot of people are calling in with all their stuff, and it's a lot to handle. Usually the phone's ringing off the hook for a couple hours.
It's a good adrenaline rush for us.
It is. It's great.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw too last night. MHSAA is launching a football highlights show on with Fox Sports. I don't know if you guys have heard about that or not, but I was kind of curious. Where are they getting all the highlights? Are we sending Fox Sports camera guys up to high school games now, or are we?
Well, I think you're getting to the
locally?
point. You're getting to the point where a lot of people are doing more things with video. I mean, you look at Boyne City; they've got their own network, for crying out loud, and they're just a small Class C, Class B school. So I think a lot of people are able to capture what's going on a Friday night and just submit it to them, I'm sure.
you're having a lot more student broadcasting. And, there's like at least a half dozen schools up around here that just do their own games.
Yeah.
They just have students doing them, and it's a good thing. It's
got to be good
for the kids to learn,
and for us to see some highlights when we can't hit the road as much.
Yeah.
How do we hire children to work for us?
See what we can do.
Okay.
That's probably been done before. All right, well, let's talk about another local team, the Traverse City Beach Bums, coming off of a pretty rough season here in professional baseball. Not our finest hour for the boys in blue and yellow. I probably have the official colors wrong. I'm going to get in trouble now. But anyway, you've been at a lot of the games, James. I've seen you there. We've had some fun times, but some long nights as well.
Yeah, they just can't quite seem to put everything together at once. You see glimmers here and there of, sometimes, they'll score 10 runs in a game, they'll give up 12, or they'll have the pitcher throw a great game and only give up 2 runs, but
Offense doesn't do anything.
the offense doesn't do anything and they lose 2-1 or something. It's just they've got some decent players. I think they'll have a decent number of them coming back next year, quite possibly. So they might have a pretty good base to build on next season if they can just get some additional help here and there at some different positions and retain a few key players.
Yeah. Chris, paying much attention to the Beach Bums this year?
I've been to a few games. So like you said, some have been long nights, that's for sure.
I was going to say, give me your take on what went wrong or what went right this year for Traverse City.
I just think it came down to they lost a lot of good players from last year. You look at the guys like Dunn and Birch, and those guys were key parts of some winning teams. And since they've had to try to replace them, and it hasn't been easy. You've seen the revolving door of people coming in and out of there throughout the season, mainly in the pitching staff. And it's just been a struggle.
Yeah, we started off the season with some injuries, which didn't help. We had Jose Vargas out for a while. Mm-hmm. Frankly, since he's been back too, it's been a little struggle to get his bat on fire at times also.
And Woodward too.
Yeah.
At times he's been really good, but he's kind of struggled a little bit too.
Well, remember that, this was, they entered this season, they essentially gutted the roster. They had a new pitching staff as far as coaching goes, a new head coach. So you knew that now the potential was there when you looked down the roster in the preseason and coming into this season. It looked like they were going to be a very strong team and compete in the league. But the issue is, I think they just were never able to gel as a whole with all the new pieces that they had and then coupled with injuries, of course, and it just didn't mesh. They're missing the playoffs again. They've been inconsistent, especially offensively and pitching. But next year's another year. I think another year under their belt, another off season going into next season. I think they'll be okay. They'll definitely be improved at that point.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a lot of things well, and when you watch them win, you can see there's some potential there. I mean, they've got a decent team behind them. Just a matter of putting it all together, like you said. Let's talk about the Tigers. Baseball, good news for us in a lot of ways. Lots of exciting things to see. Chris, what do you like out in Detroit this year?
Well, they're still in the playoff race. Let's say that. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, they're done. They're out of it now." But I mean, they're 2.5 games out of first. So I mean, there's still a lot of baseball to be played. But they gotta pick it up, and they've got to be more consistent. I think throughout the year, you've seen sometimes the pitching's doing well, sometimes the hitting's doing well. But it's kind of like the Beach Bums a little bit since about May. They haven't been able to put it all together all the time, and I think that you're watching them struggle. And Kansas City's been playing really well, so. It's just a matter of kind of keeping at it and hopefully overtake the Royals at some point.
How's Brad Ausmus doing?
I think from a managerial standpoint, he's doing pretty good. The bullpen is really struggling, obviously.
The story of our life, right?
Yeah, it's been the story of the Tigers for years now. I mean, Joe Nathan's obviously been struggling, but they haven't been getting great lockdown performance from their 7th or 8th inning guys either, at least not the second half of the season. Now you see him just bringing in former closers all over the place, trying to fill holes here with like Jim Johnson. They did that experiment with Joel Hanrahan to see if he could come back from his surgery, but didn't. Now they're trying to get Chad Qualls and just desperately trying to find another arm or two for that bullpen to try to get a fix for the playoffs.
Disappointed with pitching overall, Mike? How you feel? I mean,
Absolutely.
Verlander just.
When am I not? I mean, come on, man. But if you give me Max Scherzer and Rick Porcello, I'll take these guys all day. They're the two only 15-game winners in the American League. So they're doing well, but yeah, Verlander, 500 record right now. He's pushing a 5.0 ERA right now, which is horrendous. He's given up the most hits, the most runs, the most home runs on the entire staff, which is horrible. I think he needs to dump his supermodel girlfriend, and I think he needs to take a pay cut, because as soon as he got those two things, a huge raise and a supermodel girlfriend, he stunk it up. So cut his contract. But
is he worth keeping around, though? I mean,
I think he's got to learn to become a different pitcher. He's not a power pitcher anymore. I mean, that's what he.
They rode this guy for so long, so hard, and maybe that's what's going on with him. Is that it is time to slow him down? I don't know.
He's lost a little velocity. I mean, he used to be a guy that came out there and he was throwing 98, 99 all the time. Now he's 93, maybe, 93, 94 and everything. So it could just be a lot of innings over a lot of years. I mean, he's getting older. He's about 30 now.
But it's not just him, because, look, if there's a panic button with Detroit, we're only a couple games out of first place, but I'm pushing it. Where's the button? Because I'm going to smash it with my hand. I would panic, because this is what we see happen, and it's a combination of inconsistent pitching. It's a combination of our hitters not producing. What's going on? We still are doing well offensively overall in the league if you look at numbers, but for what we are supposed to be doing with this roster, we're not doing it. So hitting, defense, we're almost at the bottom of the American League in defensive, as far as errors go, as far as fielding percentage. Defensively, we're horrible right now, and it can't all be put on Ausmus. He shouldn't even have gotten the job, because he's never been a head coach before or a manager at this level, but it's a combination of things, and they need to turn it around quick.
I just keep thinking if they can just get into the postseason, then see what happens. Maybe all of a sudden you get like this resurgence. You look a couple of years ago when St. Louis came in, I think they had 88 wins, and then all of a sudden they got hot. And Detroit was hot for the first month of the season. If they can kind of rekindle that once they get to the postseason, they could win the World Series. I mean, they've got the talent to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not out of the question. Postseason predictions, anybody?
For MLB?
I'm going to go look in the West. I think it's either going to be Oakland or the Angels, I think, for the AL. And then maybe the Dodgers, maybe in the NL. They've spent a lot of money, and they've got a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Los Angeles and Oakland or Los Angeles. I mean, those are safe bets.
No one said Milwaukee
right
yet.
there.
I'm surprised they're still around.
Right.
Milwaukee could do it. I mean, Jonathan Lucroy's been perhaps the best catcher in baseball this year. And I wouldn't be surprised, They need Giovanni Gallardo to step up, just like the Tigers need Verlander to step up. But they've got all the potential there.
Remember that Detroit was supposed to come out of the American League this year. So what a huge disaster if they do not. That's all I got to say.
That's not all you've got to say.
No, it's not.
Well, the one good thing for Verlander is he did sign that big contract. So if nothing else, he's got the
Good for him, yeah.
more power to you.
Yeah.
All right, other pro sports. We got a few minutes left to talk Detroit Lions. Preseason is underway. Chris, what do you like out on the football field?
I don't know. I don't watch preseason football. Ever since the Lions, I've been telling people this. Ever since the Lions went 4-0 in the preseason and 0-16 after that, I don't even want to know what's going on. Week 1, then I'll sit down and figure out what's going on. But I'm excited to see if Matt Stafford is going to be a better player. Has he improved his mechanics? Has he improved his accuracy? I want to see about the defense. I was really disappointed that they didn't draft a cornerback, and we know that that's probably going to be the weak link of their team. And is that going to cost them victories when we get to September, October, November?
James?
Mm-hmm. Well, I do watch preseason football. I'm one of those sad people, but I like what they've done, what they've put together, or been able to put together. I think their offense is potential to just be crazy.
Potential's a really good word with the Lions last couple of years, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they haven't realized it hardly at all. I mean, Matthew Stafford could be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but has just, I think, almost been a drag on the team last year. He was just turning the ball over too much, throwing off his back foot, all kinds of just mistakes, mental mistakes. And I'm hoping that the new coaching staff can maybe turn him around, and if so, that offense could put up crazy video game-like numbers with the weapons that he has.
I didn't realize how good Matt Stafford was in terms of numbers until last year. I finally started paying a little more attention to it, and he's pretty good. But it only means so much when your team's lousy.
Right. Is this his 6th year in the league? This is a make or break season for Stafford too, because sure, he's looked great, but overall, it's been inconsistent. The Lions made the playoffs somehow in 2011. They've regressed each year since. I don't know. There's nothing new here that I'm seeing. I too like preseason. Sorry, Chris. I get into it. But because it builds you up, it makes you feel good. The Lions were they won 2 of their 3 games coming into this taping here. But I see the same old Lions in the preseason. They're an offensive heavy team again. They should be great offensively. They should be great on the offensive line led by Dominic Raiola. They should be good on the defensive line with Ndamukong Suh and Ziggy Ansah. Mm-hmm. The weakness is going to be the secondary, the defensive backfield once again. The running back core, phenomenal. Bush and Joyke Bell, a great combination there. Look for Reggie Bush and Joyke Bell to both have great seasons this year, but again, defensive backfield and discipline again. When the Lions, they lost to Oakland in their second preseason game, I believe, it was 27-26. The 2 most penalized teams in the NFL right there going at it, and it showed. They played horribly. It's discipline again that's going to be key. Can Jim Caldwell turn this thing around and get these guys in line? So many dumb penalties that cost games as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's kind of do or die because the window of opportunity for the Detroit Lions is quickly closing. Next year, they have a lot of big contracts that are going to be coming up soon. They're going to be running out. We might see a lot of these big name players bolt if things don't change.
That was my concern too.
Yeah. Well, the penalties is an interesting subject. I mean, there's penalties and there's bad penalties, and the Lions tend to commit a lot of bad penalties. The most penalized team in the league last year was the Seattle Seahawks, and they won the Super Bowl.
Good point.
But they don't commit bad penalties. They just commit quite a few smaller ones. But the Lions just seem to commit bad penalties at bad times, late in the game, or big ones to give up scores, extend drives, stuff like that. and they have to change that.
But things feel right now, guys. I mean, things feel right in the universe because we're heading into the NFL season. Hopes are kind of high for the Detroit Lions, and the Tigers are plummeting. And this is great. And then after a little while, we'll sink into depression when the Lions crumble. So, everything's going okay.
We'll hold on to it.
Feeling good.
We're a little too soon to make overall predictions, but how are you feeling about the NFC North this season, Chris?
I think it's Green Bay's to lose. They got Aaron Rodgers back healthy. They're obviously going to be a threat with him all the time. I think Detroit can be right there. I think they're definitely better than the Bears. I think they're clearly better than the Vikings. I think the Vikings are definitely headed for the basement with the young quarterback situation, a lot of unknowns. But for Detroit, I think they can be right there. I think they can be in the fight for the wild card. But again, they've got to show me that they've made improvements in areas where they were deficient last year.
It does seem like we have so many weapons this year that even, one injury, knock on wood, to one key player may not necessarily undo it all.
Please pray that Stafford does not get hurt, because who's our backup? Dan Orlovsky? Remember the guy who ran out of the back of the end zone for a safety and cost us a game? Remember the guy who quarterbacked us through an 0-16 campaign? That's our guy, Dan Orlovsky.
Thanks for that positive moment to end the show with there, Mike. Okay, other than Matt Stafford, one injury is not going to totally undo us, I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. They got a lot of interchangeable pieces, and they've built quite a bit of depth.
And we're now, 10 days away from the season opener?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good, guys. Thanks for all of you for coming in. We'll have you back again later in the fall. Maybe we'll talk about the wrap up to prep sports football and see how things are going. Appreciate all you being with us. Mike Misico, James Cook, Chris Dobrowolski. Good to see all you guys.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here on the briefing room. I'm Bill Froehlich from WTCM. Have a great weekend, everybody.